Hey, this is Robb Flynn from Machine Head, and you're watching and listening to Linear Rock.
Hi, Rob.
Hello.
Welcome to
Ciao.
Milan and welcome to Linear Rock.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So you're finally back with new music. And as a matter of fact, you're here today presenting the new album, Catharsis, which is coming out January 2018. You kept actually yourself very busy on the road with a long tour in the last few years. But is there any other reason behind the choice, of keeping away from the studio so long, also this time? Actually, with Machine Head, we had an average of 3 years in between each album. So it's not maybe longer than ever, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we generally tour about 20 months on every record. So it's a long, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes on The Blackening, we did 3 years and 3 months. So, when you're done with a 20-month tour or a 3-year tour, you kind of just need a break from each other to keep the, I don't need to see you for 4 to 5 months. And reconnect. We've all got families now, wives and kids. And so, to reconnect with them, it's really important. That's an important part of it. You have to reconnect with your family and be a part of that. We're in a position where we can take that much time off and then start writing and spend the time doing that. So we started writing in September, and we wrote until we were done, and here we are now.
Good. So Catharsis is a title with a very strong meaning. What's behind its inspiration in particular, and why this is the perfect song to give the title to this new work?
Well, you know what catharsis means?
Sure.
Like purging, cleansing, to fill whole again. And with that, there's a lyric in there. The only thing keeping me sane, the music in my veins, and if these words are my fists, this is my catharsis. And music has been such a catharsis for me over the years. Even before I was playing, going to shows, I started going to thrash shows in the Bay Area when I was 17 years old, and it was a huge release for me. It was a huge, go and headbang in front of James Hetfield all night or something like that. So that was very much a part of it, and music continues to be that for me. It's a way to release anger, frustration, joy, sadness, depression. All
the emotions.
Yes.
Is there any album from your discography that Catharsis is very close to in the spirit and sound-wise, in your opinion?
I mean, it's a pretty eclectic record, Catharsis. It's. I don't really feel like it's like any of our records, but it has a lot of groove and it has a lot of melody. And to me, it's the record that could have come after The Burning Red.
Wow.
Because it's got, it's got a little bit of new metal. Yeah, there you go. It's got a little. She just pulled up The Burning Red, but it's got a lot. It's got a little bit of new metal on it. It's got a little bit of rap and a lot of groove. Probably owes more to 10 Ton Hammer than it does to the thrashier things that we've done lately. And I like that. And there was no reason behind it. Just for no reason in particular. We just wrote a lot of grooving songs. I really focused a lot on songwriting this time around. I really wanted it to be just really strong songs. The first couple songs we wrote were just 4 minutes, just nice, short, sweet. And I was like, this is cool. And we just kind of kept going down that route. And there's of course a couple of the Machine Head epics, many changes, lots of long build-ups. Catharsis, the title track's pretty cinematic, in my opinion. It's like a movie, and there's a couple songs like that. Heavy Lies the Crown is another. But a lot of it's just about some hard grooves, man. That's what we were feeling.
having back your guitars that got stolen about 7 years ago actually helped to bring the spirit back in the studio. Did you use any of those guitars recording the album?
Did I use it? I wrote a lot on it. I don't think I recorded anything with that. I've got my one guitar, my main guitar for recording. But yeah, it was pretty awesome getting those guitars back. Yeah. That was fucking amazing. Like, I was really blown away.
Kind of your holy grail, something like that.
Yeah, the guitar, the guitar that Dimebag had given me, and I always felt like I would get it back. I always felt
really.
I did. I said that because everybody at first was like, we got to get it back, and there was a big push for it, and after a while, I was like, I'm not going to get this back now. It's too hot. Like, it's just, I had every news channel in front of my house in the Bay Area, and it's just like, it's too hot. Like, nobody, there was no way they could sell it. And I was like, I'm going to get this back in like 10 or 15 years, but I'll get it back. And then I got it back in 7, which is crazy.
Great.
Yeah.
Do the lyrics or music come first for you when you write songs? And how do you work actually as a band on the songs? Or it's more like that you write the songs and then arrange it with the band?
It depends on the song. Sometimes lyrics come first. Triple Beam. What else? Triple Beam, Bastards. The lyrics came first. And then the song.
Okay.
In other songs, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason to it. We do get together. We play as a band all the time. We all live in the Bay Area, and we get together 3-4 times a week, and we actually jam and, write great stuff or write shitty stuff or everything in between. And I write most of it, but Phil writes a lot. Phil wrote some great riffs on this album. Dave wrote some great riffs on this record. Jared came up with some really cool vocal melodies and some cool lyrics. So, it's very much a band.
Wow.
It's a team effort, and we all contribute. And I think the fact that us just writing together, as weird as this may sound, like most bands don't write together anymore.
Right.
Like we record tracks and we email them around, and like we actually just fucking sit in our jam room and just bash it out day after day.
Especially considering that you're the only founding member remaining in the band, it's very democratic that, it's a band effort, that you're not too bossy or so. So it's,
well, they probably would disagree with that. but
okay.
Yeah, it's good though. It's it's a great, we've been playing music. Dave's been playing with me by my side for 22 years now. Phil and I have been making music for 30 years, minus 10 years in the middle, but it's a long relationship, so I feel like we can, you have that chemistry after a while where you can read each other's minds about where a song should go and what we should try and do. And so it was good. It was really cool. It was a fun experience this time around.
So you've never been afraid of delivering political and social themes in the lyrics. Do you leave it more as an outburst of anger? Or do you think that in the end music has to take position with its power, of communication with, the people? And do you think that having an aggressive sound like Machine Head always had maybe make it come more natural, to have such strong lyrics and, taking such a clear position?
I couldn't imagine Bruno Mars doing, saying some of the stuff he says, but he says some other cool stuff, like and that isn't a diss against Bruno Mars, because I fucking love Bruno Mars.
Okay.
But, to me, I think that, I grew up with thrash metal. It was very provocative. It was, very much about agitating and kind of confrontational lyrics. But I also grew up with a lot of punk rock, and I grew up with a lot of hip hop. Where I was at, we just happened to be a big melting pot of all of that. And to me, especially like the punk rock side of it, this is like the early hip hop, like NWA and Public Enemy. It was very aggressive, very fuck you, fuck the police, fuck everybody. And, all those things kind of melded into who we are. And, we've done it from day one. And I feel like, especially now more than ever, things need to be said. And, some people aren't going to like what we're saying, but to me, I mean, whether it's You're on a Highway to Hell or it's War Pigs or Disposable Heroes or One, there's always been some pretty strong political statements made in metal. We just kind of forget about it, but, you listen to a song like War Pigs, that was a really pointed attack at the Vietnam War, back in 1967, which took a lot of fucking balls back then, because there was some pretty serious consequences that could be had. And I think we got to remember that. And I think we got to remember that is part of what metal came from. It was this confrontation, it wasn't just about Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, that there was this, even Motorhead, whether it be Raising Hell or Eat the Rich. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was a perfect scenario of everything that was going on. And, I'm not a politician. I'm not running for president. I'm not trying to be the mayor of metal, but we have something to say. And I think that if you have that voice, you can say it.
But we also know that, of course it takes balls, taking a position, but sometimes you have the backlash of that.
For sure.
And, it's like a double-edged sword sometimes. And Phil Anselmo White Power, Scream actually is just a recent example, of taking position and having to take also the responsibility for that. Mm-hmm. That was a total mess. And your response in the video Racism in Metal video actually reached 1.5 million views very quickly on YouTube. Did you watch or read, any of the comments that came after your video? And what do you think? I mean, did you actually imagine that could go so far?
I didn't really have to read the comments because the comments just kind of came at me from everywhere. Okay. I got about 1,000 death threats. And my family had neo-Nazis calling and threatening my wife and kids. And it was pretty scary for a while. We had neo-Nazi groups threatening to disrupt our shows in Madrid, threatening to disrupt our shows in East Germany. And it was pretty fucking intense after a while. And, I've said everything that I need to say in the video. And it's almost 2 years old at this point. So I don't really feel the need to address it. Did it affect me? Yeah, it really affected me. Did it affect this record? Yeah, it absolutely affected.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. If it affected any way, maybe your approach to lyrics this time, because you actually lived,
Oh, for sure. There was a lot of stuff that I wrote where I was like, I don't know if I want to say this. It scared me. It scared me, like all the shit that was going on, and even the shit that continues to go on. But at some point, I just said, fuck it, man, I just got to say what I'm going to say and going to do what I'm going to do. And I don't really look at it as having balls or anything like that. I just kind of write what I write, and I live with it for a minute, and I go, man, do I really need to say that? The opening track to the record, Volatile, is, I wrote and sang that song on the day of the Charlottesville white supremacist, they murdered somebody in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I was really affected by it. And, so what you hear in that track is like a pretty raw emotion, something that I wrote and sang the same day of something, and we kept most of the lyrics. So, the whole record isn't political, and I don't think that we've ever been an entirely political band. There's plenty of light and shade on the record. It's a very eclectic record. It's kind of a weird record. Like there's very, Bastards to me is almost like a folk song. It's 4 simple chords that have been played, 1,000 times over and over again, but it was the most effective way to tell a story. There's a lot of melody on the record. There's a lot of pop on the record. There's straight up like pop to me. And when I say pop, to me, pop is like the Beatles, like the early Beatles. There's lots of vocal harmonies where it's like John and Paul. It's equal vocal harmonies, 50%, 50%. And I feel like it all just kind of tied together. There's a couple of party songs on there. A song like California or, Razor Blade Smile that are just almost like a nod to Motorhead, where it's like, these kind of, especially Razor Blade Smile. Phil and I were talking, and we were writing lyrics together, and he was like, yeah, it's almost like, Back at the Funny Farm by Motorhead, I really like this jacket, but the sleeves are much too long, like that kind of ironic, like funny, humorous, but like kind of fucked up. And, so there's a lot of that vibe on there too.
And did you produce the record yourself or?
Yeah, along with Zack Ohren.
Okay. So which was Zack Ohren role, actually? It's like a total partnership, or you've done like 50-50?
I mean,
or
it's like my vision, and he helps me achieve my vision.
Okay.
I can't push the buttons, like I can't plug anything in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So he can do all that stuff, but I have the ear, I have the ideas, I know where I would like it to go. But he was awesome. He was a great collaborator, awesome dude, great guy. Like it really, definitely had some cool ideas about where things could go, and really helped, man. It was awesome having him on board.
Actually, with Blood, Sun and Diamonds, you had, a partner in crime back, because all the records, apart from the first three, you've been produced yourself. So at which point you decided that you needed like an external vision, opinion?
I've always got a good engineer.
Okay.
I always need, that side of it, because I don't know the technical side of it. But I know what I want to hear.
Okay.
And I just don't know how to plug in the shit to make it work. And it's been good. For Through the Ashes and the Blackening, I had Mark Keaton. For the last couple, I had Juan, and then for this one, I've had Zach, and it's cool.
Okay. You've changed various lineups through the years.
Hasn't everybody?
Okay, yes, of course.
Iron Maiden's had so many different lineups.
But we're talking about Machine Head today. Yeah. So not thinking about, bad blood or legal battles that sometimes happen, within the band. Which is the guy from the past that you miss the most as a partner and collaborator among, Machine Head ex-members? Is there anybody?
I mean, I don't miss anybody, just like you don't want to be with your ex-husband or your ex-boyfriend, or you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, in some ways, because people ask me this question all the time. I do these YouTube Live. I do a Facebook Live every Tuesday, every Friday. Yeah. Fans, it's a great way to interact with the fans. I always answer fan questions. And every time I do it, like, are you still friends with Chris Contos? Are you still friends with Logan Mady? I'm like, who cares? But it, in another way, I get it, because there's this feeling that you were this, tight.
It's the affection, that you have,
but, to the band that you like. In some ways, I started the band 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I got guys who, in some ways, I barely even knew. Like, we barely knew each other. And then we started playing music together. And then it just so happened that we had a bunch of success. And then some of them decided that they didn't want to be here, or, we kicked them out, or whatever the case may be. Some of these guys were here for like 3 years. And then that's it.
Yeah.
It's just like a split second of your life.
Sure.
I'm 50 years old. 3 years is nothing. And so, because we were never really like friends to begin with, it's not like there's this long missing, because, it's a strange thing, but there's this illusion that because you were in a band together, like you were just the best friends ever. And like, you know, and granted, we did live a lot of life together because we were on tour and we had this success. But in another way, you know, you barely knew each other. And so, you know, I don't miss anybody. Like, I don't miss them, just like I don't miss my ex-girlfriends.
Okay.
Just like I don't miss, you know, like ex-friends that I had when I was a kid. You know, like your life moves on and you just keep on going and growing. And I hope to better myself and I hope to learn from all of my experiences. Because I think some people come into your life, even if it's just for a short while, you learn something from it, good or bad. You know, you never know what it could be. It could be a bad experience. It could be a great experience, but you learn from it and you learn how to do it. So for that, I'm always grateful. Like, I'm always grateful for all of the learning experiences that we had, but, you know, I don't miss it.
Okay. You were born in Oakland, 1967. There was actually a huge festival that during the 70s took place at the Oakland Coliseum, where all the classic bands used to share the stage. Like I remember Lynyrd Skynyrd, AC/DC,
Dan the Green,
yeah, that one. Peter Frampton. You know, I see the videos on YouTube, and actually, I think it was one of the biggest in America, and it happened in your hometown. Did you have any memories of that? Did you happen to be, you know, there as a child? Was maybe that your baptism of fire, or that was huge? You know?
Not those.
Okay.
I did go to those. I went to the first one that I went to. The first day on the Green that I went to was the one where Metallica played.
Okay,
with,
so
they were second on the bill.
82,
and
83.
Scorpions headlined.
Wow.
Scorpions, Y&T, Rat.
Yes.
Then Metallica, and then Yngwie opening. And I think some other band I'd never heard of called America. I don't even, came and went. But, before that for me, I mean, that was probably the third or fourth time that I had seen Metallica. So starting for, the first time I saw Metallica, they were opening for Raven at the Berkeley Keystone, which is about a 400 capacity venue. There was about 250 people there, and it was Exodus and Metallica, and then Raven headlining, playing last. Wow. And you always hear the older bands talk about the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. The Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and it changed my life. Well, that show, that Metallica opening for Raven at the Keystone Berkeley, was my Ed Sullivan Beatles moment. Like that, me and my friend left that show. We got to start a band. We got to play every day. We got to play thrash metal. It was a big fucking deal. And then to watch them just, grow into the biggest thing ever was crazy, So
the tour starts in March, and you're coming back to Italy. It's going to be April 11th, Bologna, April 12th, Rome, and April 13th is going to be Milan. Will you have opening acts this time, or it will be a full 3 hours Machine Head experience, like an evening with Machine Head?
That's all we're doing right now, man. Okay. That's all we're doing is an evening with Machine Head.
Okay, so it's going to be like the previous tour.
Yes.
Good.
And we did, we started doing that, and, it's not very common for metal bands to do that.
Right.
It's more like a hippie kind of jam band thing. And our fans loved it. Our fans went crazy for it. And, everywhere, it was very successful, made way more money. Our fans walked away way more happy. So we were like, this is awesome. We've got to keep on doing this and keep on challenging ourselves and mixing it up.
Good. So it will be like a huge, long set list with a lot of new songs also?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
We will find out.
It's always a good mix. You know what I mean? We play something off of every record.
Last question for today. So you quit Forbidden and Vio-Lence to form Machine Head back in 1991 to have your own band and follow your own path and inspiration. Did you accomplish everything you wanted in these first 25 years? And how do you imagine yourself in 25 years from now?
Oh no, I feel very unaccomplished.
Really?
I still have lots of things that I want to accomplish. I feel like there's so much more we can do, and we just need to continue to be brave and make brave choices, and keep on trying to blow people away. Try and mix it up and do things different to what other bands are doing and what other metal bands are doing. And to me, I was talking about this with Pando last night. I want Bruce Springsteen status. I want that kind of, I can just go and play a stadium and don't need any opening bands, and it's just us. And that's what I want. Grateful Dead status, Bruce Springsteen status, U2 status, that kind of a vibe. Like, that's where I feel that, I feel like we need to aim higher.
Yeah.
I think, metal bands in general, rock bands in general, need to aim higher. The goal shouldn't be to headline whatever festival. It should be to be your own entity.
Right. Thanks, Rob, for your time. See you in April.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.